Hi, I accidentally got the first room world record on Mauer Der Toten. First things first though, I should say sorry for the disgusting video quality, but my IQ is extraordinarily low, and when I switched my OBS settings last night for the live stream, I didn't swap them back for this recording. But setting that aside, however, let's talk about some zoobies. I first tried this first room last night on that stream that I just mentioned, and I only got to round 20 because I hadn't looked into the strategies or anything like that, so I got booty smacked like the good little thought that I am. After that stream, however, I looked up a few videos and I took some of their strategies and sort of adopted it to my own playstyle. So from the beginning, I was using the Howard to just power through the lower rounds with its insane damage on the low rounds. Like, it really is still crazy how strong that thing is. I was also using Toxic Growth as my field upgrade just to try it out and see if I could shift the meta a little bit and see if I could maybe come up with a new strategy that was entirely my own, but I abandoned that later on. But for the early rounds, it was pretty good. I just killed zombies until about round 10 when you get your first Panzer, and the Howard is just straight up bad against him because he's got a lot of armor, so I bought the combat bow because that'll two-shot him after its full burn damage has taken effect. That's really good. It's also super cheap considering it's only going to cost you 50 rare salvage for 8 shots of the bow, and it's probably the best support streak that you can use in this first room. After that, not much really happened until round 21 other than me using grenades to kill hordes alongside my weakening Howard and using the combat bow as I said earlier. But again, on round 21, things got interesting because a Panzer spawned alongside a Disciple and they fucked up my existence pretty good until I just figured out that running a whole room train would be my best friend from here on out, considering that most rounds were going to have some form of mini bosses to contend with. That was a fairly good wake up call because up until then I was pretty arrogant, just thinking, oh, I can breeze through these rounds, it's not really going to be that difficult. But after seeing that the bosses aren't really going to be too much of a pushover, I decided to switch up my strategy. They didn't take me down, but it still was just a nice wake up call. On round 32, I took my first down, however, because I took too long aiming at a Disciple and the zombies just straight up caught up to me. It happens, it's just one of those things that it's zombies. It shouldn't have really happened, but it did. But that brings me to something I should point out, however, and that's that throughout most of this game, I have no armor or very little of it, and that means that most of the time I'm going to be a 2-hit down against super sprinters later on in this game, but even just going past round 15, I'm going to be a 2-hit down. That means my butt was clenched very hard throughout this game, and especially because the UK is having a heat wave right now and no one in this country knows what air conditioning is. The game exhausted me a little bit and I was super hot, but just in general, this is very stressful for me. But back to what I was saying earlier, the general strategy of this whole game was just run around the entire room, throw a Semtex at the same spot, and that'll usually kill most if not the entire horde. And when trying to train up those zombies, I'll hold out the combat bow just for safety in case I get cornered or I need to kill a mini boss on the run, because a lot of the time, especially with Disciples, they spawn in a lot and they'll spawn in the lower part of the first room, so when I run by, I'll just try to take them out on the fly. I can't stress how much though I want to give the combat bow and grenades a big ol' smooch, because those grenades will kill forever and the combat bow kills Disciples and Manglers in one shot. Even the Panzer is a 2-shot at max health. And that makes this, first room bearable, and it keeps the rounds moving fairly quickly actually, which made me have a lot of fun. It surprised me how much fun I actually had with this game despite sweating more than old Japanese men in a sauna because Scotland decided to sit itself right on the surface of the sun. But I digress. Still, it was a lot of fun. And I would totally recommend this challenge because unlike D Machine, you can't just spam the War Machine forever and potentially reach round 300 if you're good at it. Because many of the bosses you need to be careful all the time, and the crafting table is in a really shitty spot. And that makes it so you can't just go down to the crafting table, buy a self-revive, run away as easily as you got there. You need to actually think ahead a little bit, and it's a good challenge for people who don't want to feel super cheated out when they take it down, and they don't want to feel like a challenge is too easy to where they're wasting their time. So if you've ever got a little bit of time, hop on the Mauer Der Toten first room. It's actually quite fun, and I was really surprised by it actually. But back to the high round, as you can see, on round 45, even then, things are super hectic because of the Panzer combined with the Manglers and the fact that 2 or 3 hits is going to down me at any time. And that's compounded once we reach round 52 and the super sprinter zombies start appearing. Those things can just fuck off forever, I'm not gonna lie to you, because without armor, they will smack you more than my 7th grade teacher that got fired for hitting us all with a book. That's a real story, by the way, he was pretty psycho, but anyway, yeah, you need to be super careful or the game can end in the blink of an eye. You'll take one down, get right back up, and then just get instantly down by the super sprinters. That means from that point on in the game, my basic strategy was to run away, and I switched over to Aether Shroud as my field upgrade because I just needed to get out of jail free card, especially when I took it down and I didn't have any grenades or I didn't want to use the combat bow and I needed to go get a self-revive. But in general, this part of the game is really where the downs began to stack up somewhat quickly because it really started to dawn on me why this world record wasn't in the hundreds already. Because it's difficult, like it really is. You've got bosses constantly, you have super sprinter zombies, and you're in a fairly small area. But the last few rounds weren't very dissimilar to the previous few rounds, aside from the downs racking up more and more. Something else I should mention is that now on solo, I don't know when they implemented this, but at some point they did, where buying self-revives gets increasingly expensive every time you buy them. Your first one is going to cost 250 rare salvage, and then 300, then 350, up to the point where eventually in my game, I was paying 750 rare salvage for a self-revive, which I straight up just couldn't even afford anymore because I was buying them so often. And the combat bows cost rare salvage as well. It's only 50, but it still all stacks up to the point where I'm on round 60. Like, I really can't be affording these because just zombies only drop so much of it. Luckily for me, the old record was round 38, and I barely made it through that round by the skin of my teeth. Plus, it really helped out that my round 59 was a tormentor round, and round 60 is just straight up where I died. I got overwhelmed, and that's just where I died. But that is a brand new world record for the day. I'm not sure how long this record's actually going to last me, but I'm actually fairly proud of it. And I want to make it clear that I'm not a world record player, right? I'm a content creator first and foremost, and this record's probably going to be insanely high when someone with a lot of skill rolls around. But for right now, I'm fairly proud of this, and it's a world record that I can call my own. If you want to see the full gameplay with all the pausing and shit and all the stupid stuff that I do, it'll be uploaded to my second channel, which is linked in the description, and I'm not going to submit this to any of the record sites or anything, but this is just a really cool personal achievement for me. But I want to thank you guys for watching, and if you could, really honestly, the thing that you could do the most for me right now is just subscribe to the channel if you haven't. We're about 1,500 subs away from 100,000 and a silver play button, and that would just be straight up a dream come true. I've been making zombies videos since May of 2013 when Origins came out, and I've just wanted my silver play button since the beginning. That's really all I could ever ask for. Also, if you enjoyed the video, then like it and comment because it appeases the YouTube algorithm gods. I love you guys more than fat kids love gushers. Bye bye.